Alright, well, this is a level 23 Ahri,
Minions have spawned.
and we're going to spec her game, his game. Alright, so right here, after he's used his AoE, you want to be harassing him. You're doing a good job pushing minions, and that's great. You want to get level 2. But since he's melee, once his AoE is down, you actually want to be auto-attacking him as well. Alright, so out of the first wave you got 3, so CSing is definitely an area of opportunity for you, but that's to be expected at level 23, but it should be a primary focus for you. You're doing a good job hitting your Qs, which is great. You are the aggressor, so you should be standing up a little bit farther. You should be warding on the side, this side over here, since you know that that is where Kha'Zix would be just about now, just from his normal jungle path. And against the Talon, you don't want to be standing in the minions. You want to be standing out here, so he has to make a decision whether or not to use his mana to CS, or to use his mana to hit you with skill shots and harass you. Wow. That was a really good charm. I don't know. Let me look at it again. I don't know if you had to flash to kill him. I don't think you had to. You had Ignite up and you had your Q. I think that you could have chunked him down the rest of the way without it. So that's an opportunity. He was also standing in between minions, so if you had moved over you might have been able to charm him, but I think you could have done it with just a Q and Ignite and a couple autos running him back to lane. But either way you got the kill and that's great. You just want to evaluate whether or not you have to burn summoners if you don't need to. But overall, I mean, it was a really good... Being able to flash and charm was really good. And as you keep practicing things like that, it'll be more fluid and you won't have that brief... like you had a very brief, like half-second delay in between, and you won't have to do that. So, against Talon, sorry, especially when you already have a kill on him, I wouldn't go another Doran's Blade. He's not really chunking you down. You don't need the sustain as much from it. I would have gone ahead and actually started building your Seeker's Arm Guard. You're definitely going to want a Seeker's and your Zonia's later in the game, and it'd be better for you to start it now. I'm really happy that you bought a ward though, that's really good. You should be trying to place them though. So you'd want to place one on each side. You'd want to place your trinket and then the other ward as well. Good warding areas. Oh, okay, so here, I'm going to jump back real quick. So when you came up here, when he's walking this way was a good time to charm him because he only had one real direction to go in, or when he's walking straight at you. Something for you to know, anytime an assassin jumps on you, they're going to appear behind you. So in that situation, if you were here and he was here and jumped on you, you could have walked, looked back, charmed, and gotten your Q off, and you would have done a lot more damage to him. The same thing when you go to ult. If he jumps on you, then you're going to want to ult away once, turn back, charm, and then go ahead and finish your combo, because he will always appear behind you. Same thing with Zed, Katarina, anyone that jumps on you like that. That was a nice charm. You didn't hit it, but it was a good prediction, and trying to get between minions is good. Alright, so I know that you said you had questions about where to ward. Don't be afraid to auto-attack. Okay, you backed off. Alright. If you had gotten another couple auto-attacks off during your rotation, you could have probably killed him. In this situation, don't waste your charm, because if Kha'Zix dives you under tower, you want to be able to charm him underneath it. You were pretty safe. I know you pinged for help, but don't feel... That was good. You knew Kha'Zix is up here, you should have gone down here. He backs off and doesn't come after you, but you actually should have walked down this corridor right here, because he wouldn't have been able to get you, and you could have come around and recalled. You wanted to know where good areas to ward are. It really depends where Kha'Zix is on the map and how far pushed up you are. This is an ideal place to ward, just because you can see when they're at raise, so you can see if they're coming around this way. And then, again, same for here, like in this bush or right here in this walkway. Anytime that you can see several different paths is a good option. And you can always, of course, ward the bushes, but against the Kha'Zix, if you ward one side, because he has so much mobility, if you ward this side, then you want to be positioned on this side as you're CSing, so that you have enough time. If he comes, you can react and leave out the other side of river. So you just want to be cognizant of which side you put your ward on, and which side their jungler should be on. Alright, you went and got Seekers, which is really good. That's definitely the appropriate decision to make at this point. Again, you're the aggressor here. You have significantly more CS than him. You have 2 kills. You're winning this lane in every way possible. So you really need to be farther up. You got the kill, that's great. But if your minions... When you have this much of a lead, you should be standing in his minions and zone him out from all of his XP. Don't let him get a minion. Don't let him get any XP. Punish him for everything. This room is a little risky just because you have only half health and you don't have an ult. So you would have to land a really good charm to make this work for you. And you guys don't have a lot of vision. Okay, now you see Kha'Zix. See if you respond to it. Wow. You got a little bit lucky that Lucian kind of gave you the charm on Annie. But overall, it was really good. It was well thought out. You just want to be paying attention to the map. So I don't think that you necessarily saw Kha'Zix coming, or you would have moved out a little bit earlier. And just, again, just be careful of having someone come behind you. Two good times to ward are, to roam, are anytime your enemy jungle goes to a lane, or anytime your jungler goes to a lane. Because if it's your jungler, you turn it into an even bigger advantage. And if it's their jungler, then you have an opportunity to turn the fight around and make it an even fight. I'm not sure if he was trying to bait you there. Alright, so yeah, at this point you just want to keep snowballing your lane. Again, don't let Talon get anything. Shove all of his minions to tower, go roam. You should be pinging for dragon very soon. You haven't bought any more wards since you went back, which is something that I would suggest doing more. Every time you go back, you want to have a ward. I would almost always recommend coming back around this way. You're going to get a lot more kills doing that unless they're pushed up. But if they've fallen back, then you want to come behind. That was pretty good. Okay, so you would want to be helping your team right here because if Kha'Zix comes in, he can easily steal that, and you don't want to leave that up to chance.
Red team has slain the dragon.
Alright, he's doing what he should against you right now. He can't fight you, and he can't roam against you. He doesn't have the ability to, nor does he have the damage to fight you once he gets there. So he's doing the completely right thing by pushing your tower, but he's not warding, so it's not being efficient. So you just have to be aware that when you roam a lot, people will shove you to tower and try to take. Alright, so right now it's 11 minutes, 12 minutes into the game. You've had no lane opposition, essentially, and you have 59 CS. Now, you do have a lot of kills, but you can't use that as an excuse for not CSing well. So what I would suggest, I think your biggest thing to work on in terms of snowballing more is by CSing and practicing it. So go into custom games. I'll give you a guide on different steps you can take in custom games to CS better. And you want to learn patterns. So like you want to, as Ahri, you want to melee, you want to auto attack the back minions once each before you throw your Q because it will kill all of them. If you Q first, then it leaves it up a lot to chance on whether or not the minions take it or whether or not you're able to take it. Alright, so they took your pink. You should definitely be getting another pink. Let's see how much gold you have right now. You have 1100 gold. Okay. Alright. You ended up getting the kill. It was a little bit sloppy. You missed your charm. I would suggest, honestly, activating your W before you go in with your ult, because then it will hit them harder and earlier, and then you can reset the cooldown faster. So see, this is what I'm talking about. If you were to hit each one of these minions one time before you queued them, you'd have a lot less chance of them being taken by minions. And never give up a cannon if you can avoid it. Alright, now would be a really good time for you to roam bot. I know you're really trying to get this tower because Talon is pushing you, but what it actually does is it would allow Talon to freeze back here, and he wouldn't be able to, he'd be able to keep away from you, and you wouldn't have as much influence. You wouldn't be able to keep farming him essentially for gold. You could have roamed bot and maybe had some influence there. You're by far the most fed person in this game, and you would be able to help them protect that tower a little bit, or at least not die, hopefully. Alright, so if you're going to do this, and checking their blue is fine, but you had no vision of Lee or Kha'Zix, and Talon's mid, so he could easily come over here, you would want to drop a ward in this bush while you were doing this, and ideally you'd want to put one here. So you should be getting anywhere between 1 to 2 wards, maybe even 3 if you're going to be pushed up really far. Then you'd want to get several wards every time you back. Alright, you want to be pinging this to make sure that your team is responding to it. Your bot lane's having a lot of trouble right now. You're going to have to watch out for Annie. She has a lot of CC, which is really strong against you. Annie mid lane is a pretty hard counter for Ahri. Luckily she's bot, but if she were to build straight damage and get enough of it, then she could blow you up pretty easily. But other than that, the rest of the team doesn't really offer much against you. You just chunked down Lucian by, I don't know, 40% of his health. So You need to be trying to make things happen with your team. And also, good job. That was just a mechanics thing. You flash and then you didn't immediately charm, so you ended up trying to auto attack a minion. That's just mechanics, and that you just need to keep practicing with. You should be a little bit more cognizant of what's happening on the map, because you could have been able to save Xin if you had turned around and gone and charmed Lee before he came in. You can also charm him mid-kick, or mid-Q, if he's going into somebody. This is a little bit dangerous, just playing around near this turret. If he has his ult up, so he could Q you, get behind you, and kick you into the turret at higher levels. I'm not sure this particular person has the mechanics for that, but it is something that's absolutely possible. And they could have killed you that way. So just be careful dancing around turrets. And it's also a waste of time. You're not gaining anything by standing here. And like right now you're getting race, you're going to go and you're going to shop. You could have done that instead of playing in this area. Every second that you're not getting gold is essentially just time that you're wasting. And an opportunity for the team to get back into the game. Alright, so at this point you should know your dragon is coming up right now. At about a minute 30 you should be warning your team, dragon, just put 130D, and then tell everybody to heal and get ready for dragon. At a minute you guys should be warding. At 30 seconds you need to take Scuttle Crab, and you need to have everybody there to take dragon. If you wait until, like you guys did now, if you wait until it's up, then you're going to be in a situation where you're going to lose it. Here, you should have just, yeah, you should have done that earlier. You didn't need to get the ward first. You can come back for the ward. Alright, this is a good place for pink. This right here is a really good place for pink. Nobody ever looks for pinks here. So, especially you're so far ahead and you can make catches, you should be putting a pink right here. You also want to have already switched over your trinket for a sweeper. A lot of Ahri's kit is made to pick people off, and if you have control of vision in their jungle, then it creates a blind spot where they are not able to see you and they are not able to react to you. That was a nice dodge. You missed your charm, which will probably, yeah, you'll die because of it. Again, just mechanics, which takes time and practice, so if you practice it, you'll be fine in that situation. You're up really far without wards, so you want to have enough wards to safely do what your intentions are. So if you want to push, then you need to ward appropriately for it. You cannot rely on your team to do it. You have to take the initiative to do it on your own. So if you had put that pink down, then you could have grabbed a couple wards, and it would be more than worth it. So that 150 that you'd spend on wards right now would essentially be denying them 450 plus gold, because you just gave them a kill and an assist. That's worth at least 400 gold, and you were 8-1. That was your first time you died, so you gave them a ton of killing spree bonus. So you not spending that 150 gold actually gave them 750 gold. Alright. You guys are getting a lot of kills, but you're not taking anything from it, which is allowing them to kind of catch. I mean, they've surpassed you now because they've gotten more dragons than you and they have towers. So you really need to be focusing on what you can make. So every time you get a kill, what can you do for it? This tower should be gone by now. Lucian's the only one here. If you guys immediately pushed after you got those kills mid, then you could have taken this tower. It's already 60% health, so you easily could have taken that. This, if you're going to do again, you ward here, and you ward here. Alright, you got the kill for it, that's good. And this is where you need the warding, because then you can see exactly what's going on with your team. Oh, as soon as you see that Q go, you know that he's going to go on her, and you charm her. So let me go back there. Okay, so let's watch this right here, okay? So, he hits this Q, you charm her, you're going to charm him. He's going to, you know that that's where he's going to travel. And then you can charm him, he can get away, Aurelia can get away, and then you can continue to DPS that. And as of now, you panic you panic charmed because you were trying to get him away from Aurelia. Aurelia was out, you should have just gone down here and tried to separate yourself so that they had a decision to make between the two of you, and a lot of times having to make that decision will be a misplay where they'll hesitate and they'll end up not getting either of you. But if you walked down in this direction, if they were going after Aurelia, if you walked down in this direction and they had to follow you, you have a very clear path of where to charm, because they have very limited room. If they're walking in this direction and you're walking in this direction, or walking away from them, it's never a good idea to throw any skill shot in that way, because there's a very limited area where you can shoot, where you can hit them. As opposed to if they're walking towards you or away from you and you shoot it, they're going to be more likely, it's going to be more likely to hit, because they'd have to move left or right. So it's on them to dodge it instead of on you to hit it. Alright, so in this situation, instead of coming back this way, you should have gone back. And if you went back again, you could have turned around and hopefully charmed. But that's a pretty high skill level maneuver. But you going out here actually gave him an opportunity to get out of tower range. Alright, so let's look at your items. If I were you, okay, so you're the most damage on your team, right? They're gonna gun for you. I would honestly have finished up and gotten your Zonias before I finished Morello's, just because, one, you need to be safe in a situation where someone's gonna try to burst you and you're gonna be able to respond to it. And two, getting that early needless gives you a lot of damage and will help you carry the game harder. So it was fine to get you got the Fiendish Codex early, which is fine, but after that I would have gone ahead and finished your Zonias. Again, Dragon just came up now, and your team's not there for it. You're in top lane, which pretty much gives them a free Dragon, and it does look like either they don't have the timer on it, but he's going to see that it's up now, so he's going to go ahead and they're going to get it for free. Alright, so you guys are about almost 2,000 gold behind. It's not terrible, but it is something that you have to be aware of. And most of that, again, is just due to global objectives. So they have 2 dragons right now, you have 1. And you need to be a little bit more consistent with your skill shots. So you're getting kills simply because you got fed in lane and your Foxfire is doing a lot for you, but if you go back and you look, let me slow this down a little bit. Okay, so this happens here. Actually, I need to go down a little bit more. Alright, so in this situation, you're lacking a little bit of awareness because this should have already been planned out in your mind, what you were going to do. Sitting right here, you have a really clear shot at Annie. That would have been really easy. You could have gone ahead and just charmed your Lee. Their Lee is really fed. He has a lot of damage, he has a lot of kills. If you charm him and you guys can all focus down, Talon's kind of not really useful right now. He barely has anything. He has a Hydra, he has 2 longswords. He's pretty useless at 25 minutes into the game. And Annie, the only reason that you might want to get her is because if she doesn't have her stun or her CC, then that's helpful. But most likely, you'd want to just go ahead and respond immediately to this, and you'd want to take out this Lee, who's the only one really in this situation where you're 3v3 that you need to worry about, because these two are just not even a factor as of this point in the game. It's actually a 4v3. Okay, so what you did was you turned around to go after... You turned around to go after Annie, and it let them just wreck. It let Lee just wreck your team. So I'm going to show you, the other part of that is, aside from choosing the wrong target, you missed a lot of... So see, he's getting hit a lot before you even respond. Okay, so you missed your Q, you missed your charm, you missed both aspects of your Q also. And in this situation, okay, so as soon as he Qs you, you charm. Because what it will do is, as he's traveling into you, it'll charm him and he will actually stop and slowly walk into you instead of his normal Q where he does a ton of damage. And then you can properly respond and get your combo off and back away. So a lot of it's just your mechanics, making sure that you're hitting all of your skill shots. Ahri is an extremely skill shot reliant champion, so if you're not hitting them, then you're not going to be nearly as effective. So even though you have 10 kills, you have 100 and... How much gold do you have? 1,000. Okay. You have 112 CS. You're not nearly as effective as your items indicate, just because you're not able to actually use those items. I mean, you're not actually, yeah, you're not able to get that DPS off because you're not hitting your skill shots. 112 minions should be something that you aim for in about 12 minutes. So 25 minutes in, you have about half of the CS that you should. And if you could think about having another 120 minions, or 100 minions, that's, you know, a significant amount. That's an extra 1,000 to, actually, that's more than that. It's a good extra, like, 1,600 to 2,000 gold that you could be spending on items. That's an extra needless. It's, you know, whatever you need. Alright, so at this point you want to look at your team's build. That was a nice charm. Alright. So at this point you want to look at the team and what they're doing. So Lee Sin is very far ahead, not building any magic resist. Actually, none of them are building any magic resist. So you don't need to build any pen. If they were building any magic resist, if they had, I don't know, Spirit Visage, if they had Lockets, if they had things of that nature, Banshee's Veils, you'd want to get a Void Staff just so that you could actually do damage. But nobody on their team is really tanky right now, and they're going more of a HP. The people who are building defense are building HP and, for whatever reason, armor. So you don't have to worry about that. Your next buy should be a Death Cap. If you had that extra CS, you would actually be able to already have your Needless. And you just picked up 2 wards, which is really good. You should have switched out for Sweeper by now, but I'm glad to see you starting to pick up some wards along the way. Alright, now you don't want to go up too far because they have been collapsing on you guys. You don't want to get out of position, so what you should do is shove this up, get raised, shove it up, get wolves. Do everything you can to keep farming. Again, that was a situation. You charmed, but it was a little late. You should have charmed as soon as Lee Sin queued onto Draven. Alright, this is really dangerous. You have no vision of anybody in the map. So all 5 of them are missing, 4 of them are right here. And although you're strong, the 2 of you are not strong enough to 2v4. In that situation, again, as soon as he Qs you, you want to charm. But you did a good job getting out. Alright, so you're buying. Alright. In this situation, let me go back. So farming wolves is great, but again, you want to cover your entrances, right? So they have a lot of catch potential between Lee, who's built completely damaged until he just got randomins. And then you have Annie, who has a crazy stun. You want to make sure that you're covered if they decide to push. So you want to have a ward here. You want to have a ward here. You want to make sure that wherever they're going, you're able to respond to it. You have no vision on the map, and being in your jungle when they have so much control is really dangerous at this point. At the very least, you want to have a ward up here, and you want to have a ward by your blue. Now they end up coming through lane to kill you, but you should have been able to see them. They came into your vision of your tower, and whoops, I didn't focus on you. They came into your tower vision, and then you walked back into that direction, presumably trying to defend it, but you can't give them an opportunity to get you like that. Oh, ouch. Alright. Okay, so you have 870 gold, and you bought your blasting wand, which means that you had 1600 gold. So you should have just gone ahead and got your needless and built it into a death cap. I'm not sure if you're trying right now to build it into a void staff, but again, they don't have any MR, so there's no real reason to get it at this point. Your threat, part of the problem is that your thrush doesn't have a sightstone. There's nothing wrong with gently suggesting that your support gets a sightstone or, something like that. if you do it properly. So the way to do it properly is, first of all, you want to be positive the entire game, from start to finish. Anytime anyone does anything right, if anyone helps you out, just great job. If someone dies a lot, then be like, no big deal, it's fine, we've got this. Anything you can do to be positive and establish yourself as a leader in the game. You want to keep track of timers, and then you can say something like, okay, guys, I think if we get vision, we can win this. Thresh, do you mind getting a sight stone? I'll pick up some wards. Can everybody get a couple wards? And if you do it in that sort of way where it becomes a team mentality and not a why isn't my support warding for me, which they'll resent, then you'll be able to make more of the situation, and you probably would get them to help you out. Another thing is that your ward, if you didn't get a sweeper and you decided to stick with your warding totem, then you want to upgrade it. It's only 250 gold, and it gives you, if you use it properly and time them, you can have 3 wards in the map on the map at all times. So it actually is essentially like a mini sight stone. Alright. You shouldn't have been farming top so long. It was pretty obvious that they were trying to siege this. And your tower... That was a really good Zonia's. Unfortunately, still died for it, but the Zonia's timing was really good. But your tower wasn't going to go down, and even if it did, your inhibitor tower is more valuable and more important than your top lane tower. You've had these words for quite some time. You need to be putting them down somewhere just so that you can get some use out of them. Oh, hey guys, I didn't see chat, but... Alright, again, you want to have vision. You want to know when dragon is up. You should know that it's down already. There is an audible sound and a visual every time the enemy team gets dragon or you get it. And they were in your vision when they got it the last time, so you should know that it's down, and you should be keeping a timer of it even though you didn't see it go down. Alright, you're taking too long to get into position. So what you should have done here when you see this happening, this isn't an ideal fight regardless. They have 5 people on the map, you still have Xin in base, and Draven cannot get to you, whereas these two can come and respond to the fight. But regardless, you're taking a lot of time trying to get into position. So when this all happens, rather than just going and fighting with Lee, you're trying to get to Annie in the backline, but Annie's the support. So while she's starting to build damage, and that's fine, she is not your biggest concern. She has one completed item, and Lee is sitting here with 5 completed items. So you want to be able to affect your team in the most efficient way possible. So you're going for Annie, and she's just not the one that's a threat to your team right now. If you wanted to get out, that's fine, but you should have just focused on getting out and not on trying to DPS down Annie as well. Okay, so you went ahead and you got Abyssal, and there's a couple reasons that that buy is incorrect. One, their entire team is physical damage, except for Annie, who again has the lowest DPS on the team and the lowest gold on the team. So you want to be itemizing against Sali, you want to be itemizing against Kha'Zix, even Talon is starting to get a couple items. Those are who you need to be focusing on itemizing against. The second reason is that it does offer the reduce of magic resist, but nobody on their team has built any magic resist. So you're itemizing against situations that haven't happened. Annie is not 12 and 1, and none of them have built excessive amounts of magic resist, which they should have built early just because you were so fed. They should actually have some magic resist. Let's see how this happens. Okay, so again, this is a matter of vision. If you're going to go into a bush, always cue it first or charm. There are audible indicators if you hit somebody. So even if you can't see into the bush, you should be able to hear whether or not it hit somebody and then adjust accordingly. Alright. Don't feel bad. This Lee was gold 4 last season, so he's really good. He has a lot of experience. But you should actually value these games that you're playing against people who are either smurfing or playing with people from lower levels and therefore playing with you, because you'll learn way more from them and from playing against them than you will from playing against anyone at your own level. Alright, you stopped to do wolves, but your tower here is being sieged. And they got one. You easily could have gotten all three if you were there to help them out. So now that you got this, you need to make something of it. Again, charm. As soon as it lands on you and you see him coming towards you, charm in his direction. It's a straight line. So if you charm to exactly where he's standing, then it will 100% guaranteed hit him. You guys need to be pushed. Actually, what you should go do is go get a Baron right now. There's no one on the map to contest it. You get Baron, it will help you siege and make up for the fact that Xin Zhao is not with you anymore. Alright, they ended up doing it. It was a little too late though. Alright, so you have to be really careful. You're warding much better now. You have to be really careful about getting caught, because if you guys get caught out, you can still easily lose this game. You do want to be pushing. Aurelia is pushing top, so you want to be pushing at a similar speed as her. You would be 3v3. So that, oh well, actually there's 4 here now. So that would allow Aurelia to get top tower for free, or they'd have to send 1 or 2 people after her, and then you could 3v3 and push mid. She's probably gonna get caught doing this. She doesn't have proper warding to do this. You guys need to push hard and engage on these two, since there are 2 top. Alright, so you're up here all alone, your team left, and you had to use your ulti just because you were out of position in relation to your team. That's not a situation that you want to be in, especially when you're a man down. You want to be able to make every single skill count. Alright, so in this situation you're down here and you're doing Grump, which would be good at earlier stages of the game, but you've created a situation where now your team is trying to 3v4. And if you were there, there's a good possibility that you could have tried to pick somebody off. So it's just really important at this point that you're available for your team. You're already in a 4v5 situation, you don't want to make it a 3v5 for them. Alright, these two are pretty far up without enough ward coverage to be that far up. Alright, so you popped his Banshees, which is good, but now you want to be able to make something out of it. So, whoops, my camera went all crazy. So let's go back to here where you pop his Banshees. You want to make sure you're dodging side to side. Again, it's more difficult for him to hit anything that way. Alright, there is no reason for you to jump out here. If anything, you should be, how you want to use her ult is you want to skirt around the edges of a fight, so you'd ult like here, and then ult here, and then maybe back. That allows you to get your Foxfire off, but still stay in a position where you're not in the middle of the team fight. Luckily, your team made the most of it, but that's just something to be aware of. Alright, so you're spawning in 17 seconds. Dragon is live. You should go ahead and get that. You want to clear this. This is a lot of minions up top. You're going to lose your tower, which is fine. Inhibitor was more important. But you want to go and clear this and get those minions. It would give you just a huge leg up. And you want to make sure that you're pinging for your team so that they know that Dragon's up and things like that. Aurelia shouldn't have used her ultimate on minions, but I mean it happens. So it should be up before the next fight though, unless
Red
it
team
might not be
has
up for this
slain
dragon. Draven got it alone, but they should have responded. It's a difficult situation. You didn't need to flash there. You could have just turned around and charmed. Alright, so Dragon is up in Baron is up in 118. What you would want is for your whole team to push up mid so that your super minions have to be responded to, and then you want to go take Baron. One of two things will happen. Either they will come and contest Baron and the super minions will take out their Nexus towers, or they will defend against the super minions and then you'll be able to get Baron for free. Alright, this is exactly the situation that you want. Take these minions and go get Baron. It should be up in 7 seconds. You'd make it there just in time. Annie's really low. She needs to heal. Lucian's at about half HP. So it's a perfect time for you guys to go get Baron. See, going there is just... The way that you guys have timed your rotation is incredibly inefficient. And you're in a 4v5 situation, so you want to go ahead and you want to get Baron because it's almost like having a 5th person on your team. Your cannons alone can siege towers from like so far back. Again, you don't want to be ulting into them, you want to ult around. So, in this situation, slow this down a little bit. Alright, so you missed your charm. When this happens, you want to ult, and you want to ult. Or even more ideally, because Draven's the only other one on your team that's there that's doing a good bit of damage, and he has GA, you would want to have ulted back, ulted around, and then ulted and stayed near Draven so that you guys could have tried to make some plays together. He's really strong right now. So this is the situation I was talking about. So they didn't respond to your minions, which means that you guys are getting a tremendous amount of damage off on these, and I don't think that they're going to get back in time to save it. The same thing would have happened if you guys had just gone to get Baron. They would have had to respond. So yeah, they're definitely going to get there in time. You have a huge wave top. You guys are more than welcome. Like, if you wanted to go get top, then that would be fine. If you did that, then again, you'd want to fall back to Baron. Just keep in mind that you're in a 4v5 situation, so the longer it takes you guys to make decisions and to make plays, the more of an opportunity they have to come back, because they have 5 people with items right now and you have 4. So even the people who were shut down and are not fed are going to be getting enough items to make an impact in the game. You want to use vision to your advantage at this point. Make sure that you guys are sweeping things, that you have wards. It looks like, while Thresh was a little late with it, he did finally get a Sightstone and he got a sweeper. So you just want to be using that vision to your advantage as much as possible. Go ahead and recall. You have quick recall. Get home guard. So you probably want to have, in this situation, you probably want to have home guard instead of alacrity, just because you're going to need to defend more often since you're 4v5. Alright, you want to use your ult a little bit more effectively. You didn't need to flash out of that situation. You could have ulted, and you would have wanted to ult to the side, so you could still stay in the fight without being chunked down anymore. But luckily you guys still did a lot. You guys can just go ahead and take these now. I mean, they're down 2 people. You want to watch out for Lee. Okay, so in this situation now, you guys have fairly long timers. They're going to be able to push down and get some stuff. They're going to gain control. They're not going to be able to take anything of yours except this because they already have a huge minion wave built up. They slow pushed it. So that's to their advantage, but they're going to get that through like no effort of their own. They are able to get a second dragon. Their second? Oh, they actually have a lot more than that. And that's just a result of not keeping dragon control. So make sure that you keep those timers. When you guys spawn, you need to all group. Your entire team needs to group. And make sure that you're peeling for Draven. At this point, you want to be making sure... It's just as important that you peel for Draven at this point as it is that Thresh does. Because he has so many kills. He's full build. You really want to be making sure that you're able to keep him alive in those fights. Plus, he does a lot of damage, so you'll actually be able to get more DPS off together. You'll be able to kill people, which means they won't be able to do as many spells and auto attacks on you. So you'll actually, by eliminating players quickly, you'll be able to kind of even out the teams a little bit. They went and they took all your buffs. You want to be careful. You didn't know where they were. You could have easily been walking right into Lee, who could still 100 to 0 you pretty quickly. No one still has... Well, you have Banshees. Okay. So you have a couple Banshees, so at this point you want to... have your Void Staff, because on Lucian and on Lee Sin, you're going to be doing significantly less damage because they have magic resist. So you're just not going to be nearly as effective as you would be with the Void Staff. So Aurelia got top. You guys want to be grouping and taking an objective. So this should be respawning probably in about another minute and a half. So you guys should all be pushing top. Just because you have no tower. So you want to all go top so that you can make sure that this is pushed up as much as possible so they can't take your inhibitor. If you guys all went top, they would have to respond to you. and at the same time someone would have to respond to mid because you still have super minions. So you guys could push this up, let the minions do their work, and when someone splits off, you could go ahead and take this tower. The best general build for Ahri, it depends who you're going against. If you're going against someone that's an AD mid or a very AD heavy team, you would want to go and you would want to get your Zonias, you'd want to get your Death Cap, you want to get your Void Staff. If you're not, then you can do things like you can get an early Chalice. You definitely want to get Morello's on her pretty much no matter what, just for the mana regen and the cooldown reduction. Both are really good for her. Especially if you're against anyone with a lot of sustain. Yeah, just auto. Yep, you guys want it. Alright, so what I would suggest for you, your two biggest things that you need to work on, well, I'll give you three. One is you really need to work on CSing. You should have had a much bigger lead than you actually did, just due to CSing effectively. That would give you, like at that 20-minute mark, you probably would have had, or 22-minute mark, you would have had an extra needless, which would have been really important and would have helped you snowball. Two, you really want to practice your mechanics. It doesn't matter how many items you have. If you're on a skill shot reliant champion and you're not hitting your skill shots, you're not going to be effective. And it doesn't matter how many items you have because you're not going to be doing the damage. And then the third thing would just be using your ult properly in team fights. A lot of the times that you died in team fights was because you would ult into the team rather than ulting around the team. So that would be what I would suggest. And I know you don't have Skype, so we're going to chat a little bit on the game client. So I will get back to you, and then as soon as we are done, I will go ahead and send you this video. So thanks for everyone who watched on my stream. If you guys have any questions, then go ahead and message me them, and I will try to help you.